Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
It is a bright, sunny Sunday afternoon in downtown Cincinnati and all across America. We participate in the Home Run Challenge in the fight against prostate cancer. Especially important on this Father's Day in 2015, the Marlins and the Reds in the rubber game of their 3-game series, and plenty of dads at the old ballpark today. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We hope you have a terrific day. Reds trying to win this series after beating the Tigers 2 out of 3. Had one game, of course, rained out. We started to talk about yesterday, Chris, that, watching these young Reds pitchers up and down their rotation. And now there'll be ups and there'll be downs, but so far there have been a lot more ups.
Well, there's a lot of upside to them. I can tell you that when you've got the kind of arms that the Reds have been able to assemble in their young covey of young pitchers, you really are very impressed, especially with the two that stand out from a National League rookie ERA leader standpoint. Anthony DeSclafani, who pitched last night. You're going to have your ups and downs, Anthony. Michael Lorenzen at 3.70. Remember, pitching in a very small ballpark. This is good company right here that you're seeing. And this is why you're excited about the Reds pitching going down the road and looking into the future. Lorenzen's got great command of his fastball. But I think the thing that I like about him more than anything else is his approach. He does not pitch afraid or scared. He knows he works very hard, and because he does that, he figures that he deserves a little success, and so far he's finding more success than failure.
His mound opponent pitching for the Yankees last season really shut down the Reds.
Well, you're right. He had the 6 1/3 innings of a great game. That was in Yankee Stadium. 12 starts overall for David Phelps. He's been up and down. He's looking to win his 3rd game in a row for the first time this year. He's going to remind you a little bit of Anthony DeSclafani. Not overpowering with the fastball. Nice slider. He actually throws more of a cutter than a slider, but he likes to spot his fastball up. When he does that, he can be a very challenging pitcher to hit.
One guy who's trying to slow down, of course, is Todd Frazier. Jim Dale had that. We wish you a happy Father's Day.
Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. By Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time.
It is going to be hotter for our Reds game today. Anybody out there are going to be dealing with the humidity, and with that, we are bringing in the chance for some scattered thunderstorms. Shouldn't rain the whole game, but there's going to be that chance we have to deal with a delay. So at first pitch, right around 83 with that chance for a thunderstorm, 86 by the 7th inning, and up to 87. So hot and muggy for the players out there, and once again, watching for that threat for a few storms. Let's go, Reds.
I'm Jim Day on the field. The Reds shut out last night, and Todd Frazier says he would like to lead the resurgence to a victory today, and he's our subject of our IGS Bringing the Energy. Todd Frazier has 43 extra base hits. That leads Major League Baseball. He's on pace for 103 extra base hits. He's also on pace for 48 doubles, 53 home runs, and 111 RBIs. If he continues that pace, that would be an incredible season. And before the game, you better believe he's bringing the energy. We've talked about these Frazier handshakes. Now check out, he even has one for Brian Price. There's different ones for each guy. He says many come naturally. Some are made up mutually. He doesn't have one for everyone, and the ones he doesn't have for, they're bugging him to make one up as you go through the list here. But he says he does it because he just wants to simply fire up his team and get them loose before they're ready to play a Major League Baseball game. Todd Frazier is one of a kind, and trust me, it's not an act, folks. That is real. Up next, it's the rubber game of a 3-game set. The rookie Michael Lorenzen goes to the hill. Up next, Tom Brenneman and Chris Welch. All the play-by-play action. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
All the dads out there, happy Father's Day.
Feliz Día de los Padres. Los Rojos de Cincinnati y todos los peloteros se lo agradecemos mucho. Gracias, padres.
This is Jay Bruce, wishing a happy Father's Day to all the dads in Reds country.
We certainly echo those sentiments. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Doesn't mean you have to be the, necessarily the paternal father. I mean, there are a lot of men out there that are giving their time to Boys and Girls Clubs, to Big Brothers, and all those kinds of programs. So we say happy Father's Day to all of you out there. Big crowd, beautiful Sunday afternoon at Great American Ballpark. the decisive game of this weekend series. And the starting lineup for Dan Jennings, Miami Marlins. Same group we've seen with the exception of behind the plate. Gordon, Dietrich, and Yelich to start it. Stanton and Wright, Ozuna in center, Bohr at first. The change is Mathis behind the plate, with Echeverria the shortstop, and Phelps on the mound. Starting at for the Reds, his 9th start, 11th game overall, rookie right-hander Michael Lorenzen.
Well, so far with only 48 innings pitched, Michael Lorenzen really has his innings under control. 2-2 record. He's pitched really well lately. In fact, he's allowed 3 runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5 ball games. So if you're looking for a trend out of Lorenzen, that's what you're looking for. And he's a guy that really can pitch efficiently. He has not had a lot of strikeouts, does not average 1 per inning. So he's pitching to contact and doing a good job doing it.
And the 23-year-old right-hander delivers ball 1 to D. Gordon, and we are underway. Gordon at .352 without a home run, 17 runs batted in, stole his 23rd base of the season last night. And he can cause some problems when he gets aboard, as we saw last night, and a single starts the first inning for Gordon and the Marlins. The Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Bird, Hamilton, Bruce left, center, and right. Suarez and Phillips up the middle. Frazier and Votto on the corners, and Pena hanging the signs. And we'll keep an eye on Gordon right from the get-go, as will Lorenzen and Pena. 23 steals, 9 times D has been thrown out. The story of the game last night, the man who bats right now, that's Dietrich. On base 4 times, hit by a pitch, through a walk, but hit a pair of home runs in a game for the first time in his very young major league career. A solo shot in a scoreless game in the 4th, and some icing on the cake in the 7th with a 2-run blast to right.
Well, this ought to be a pretty good matchup with Lorenzen on the mound. He has yet to allow a stolen base.
Ball 1 on Dietrich.
Of course, for the pitcher, you got several things going on. One, a speedy runner at first base. The other part of it is you've got the number 2 hitter, and you're only 2 batters away from Giancarlo Stanton. So you want to make sure that you concentrate primarily on the hitter, not the runner. There he goes.
Pena's throw not nearly in time, really never had a chance with the jump by Gordon. So that's his 24th stolen base, and you better watch him at second base, as we saw last night when he stole 3rd.
And that's a pretty abbreviated throw to the plate by Lorenzen. It just goes to show you, unless you shorten that lead up, somebody with the speed of D. Gordon is going to steal the base, really no problem. So changes the at bat now for Dietrich. 2-0, wants to pull the ball, get Gordon over to third base at the minimum.
Suarez right behind Gordon out at second base, and there's a swing and a miss on a 2-0 pitch. 2 balls and a strike.
You know, Michael Lorenzen is averaging 95 miles an hour on that fastball. I mean, that is in the upper echelon in the National League. His slider is his next favorite pitch, followed by his curveball, then changeup.
Three and 1 on Dietrich, with Yelich waiting in the on-deck circle.
Boy, Dietrich had a big night last night. And they called him up. He really got a shot because Martin Prado is the one on the disabled list. So for Dietrich last night, the home run, you know, one door closes and another one opens. That one was open wide for Derek Dietrich. That ball went way up there in that moon deck.
That was the one that broke the scoreless tie in the 4th inning, and then the 2-run home run off Manny Pollard. A line drive clearing the wall in right field. That's his 3rd home run in 18 at bats since being brought up. And that ball is scalded, luckily missing Lorenzen, and the Marlins have him on the corners with nobody out in the opening inning.
Pretty good swing Dietrich has shown so far in this series. I mean, he stayed right on that ball and nearly undresses Lorenzen as it goes right through the box. That's when you start pitching guys inside. When they start hitting up the middle like that, You say if you're going to hit it up the middle, you're going to have to hit it off your thumbs up the middle. Especially the guy in the on-deck circle.
Well, now Yelich. He had 1 hit and 4 at-bats in the opener. Went 1 for 3 last night. Had a double, scored a run, also drew a walk. He did strike out twice, and Stanton could clearly use one of those right now. He comes inside, but too low. Ball 1 on Yelich.
Got nice power going the other way, Yelich does. They signed him to a pretty much of a long-term contract, thinking that this guy has a lot of upside looking into the future.
Popped up and appears to be playable. Suarez crossing into foul ground, and Gordon will stay put, taken off. Boy, what an alert play that is right there by Dietrich.
You know, I think that was a play that Gordon had something to do with. Because if Gordon doesn't fake like he's going to tag up on that ball, there's no reason to throw it to the plate. And Dietrich probably figured that was going to happen. This is all pre-planned right here. Now, he can do that. Gordon can, because there's nobody there to cover third base and keep him close. Both the third baseman and shortstop are out there for the pop-up. And that's a heads-up play by Dietrich at the back end. And what it does, though, is it opens up a base for you in case you fall behind Stanton and don't want to go after him.
Well, it appears they're going to at least start pitching to Stanton. And a ground ball to the right side will bring in a run. So Stanton does his job, just putting the ball in play. Gordon scores, and that makes it 1-0 Marlins. Now, I wasn't quite sure that we were going to open up, not necessarily a can of worms, but certainly a few eyebrows raised. And we were talking last night about Stanton, and would you categorize him yet as a great player? And we weren't taking into account his age and what he might do or might not do looking forward. And there were a few people that want to debate that a little bit before the ball game today. No arguing or anything like that. And I think they knew that there was no picking on Mike Stanton.
Kind of the beauty of baseball, though, is debating / talking about players and where you project them and where they rank among other players, active and past players. I've had the consensus in it is that if he is not the best right fielder in baseball, he's one of the best 2 or 3. And he's only 25 years old. But anytime you sign a contract that is the biggest in baseball, or at least close to the biggest, I think it is the biggest in baseball, then, you know, you're going to, hey, that contract comes along with the conversation.
Two and one the count on Ozuna. And now Lorenzen evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, if Lorenzen can get out of this jam, you know, when you've got first 2 runners reach base, they end up getting to first and third here with nobody out, and you get out of it with only 1 run given up, you've kind of won you won part of the war right there.
And that's what it will be as he puts away Ozuna on strikes. So the Marlins get a run. Reds will try and answer against David Phelps when we return. Price's starting lineup presented by Meyer. Phillips, Votto, and Frazier. 1, 2, 3. Bruce in the cleanup spot. Pena bats 5th and catches. Marlon Byrd in left field will hit 6th. A ladder third of Eugenio Suarez, a shortstop. Lorenzen in the 8-hole. Billy Hamilton will bat 9th and play center. Prior to this year, David Phelps had only worn a uniform inside the New York Yankees organization. Came over with Martin Prado in a 3-player deal in December during the offseason.
This is David Phelps' 4th major league season, as you said, Tom, all with the New York Yankees before now. Most of them appearances as a starter, although he was put in the bullpen with the Yankees after being there. 12th start of 14 appearances for the Marlins. Have really solid numbers up and down the line. Number of hits, number of walks, number of strikeouts.
Off the end of the battle, one hopper will be played down there by Bohr, and Phillips retired. Now, we saw the Reds, Chris, in the game last night swing early and often. It was pretty much a walk in the park in the major league debut for Justin Nicolino.
He was, and I wouldn't think that approach is going to change a lot for the Reds. They seem to be a ball club that likes to swing early and often. They like to hit the fastball. The one exception, of course, is Joey Votto, who's one of the most patient hitters in all of baseball.
On base percentage, Votto has been reaching, of course, on a regular basis. An active season high streak, 28 in a row, in which he has reached base safely, putting his on base percentage for the year right where you expect it to be, over 400. Only Harper, Goldschmidt, Matt Holliday, and Anthony Rizzo getting on base with more frequency than Joey Votto among National Leaguers. Matt Holliday was having one of the best seasons of his outstanding major league career this year for the St. Louis Cardinals. Some are wondering, is he starting to slow down a little bit? Apparently not. Cardinals have won 2 in a row over Philadelphia over the weekend, enjoying a 6-game lead over the Pirates, and second in the Central going into play today. Cubs are 8 back, and the Reds are 5.5 behind those Cubbies. Holliday on that list with Votto. Look at some of the names there. Beltre. 3 balls and 2 strikes.
I had a chance to talk with Marlins last night's starter, Justin Nicolino, a little bit before the game today, and his first major league strikeout ever was Joey Votto. And he was asked about that and whether it would be a special thing because Votto is difficult to strike out. Absolutely. I mean, he just could not have been happier unless it was Anthony DeSclafani, because he said, hey, DeSclafani got a hit off of me.
There's ball 4 to Votto, so now make it 29 consecutive games in which Joey has reached base. Marlins on defense, presented by Floyd. We mentioned the only change from the first 2 games of this series. Real Muto the day off behind the plate, and Jeff Mathis is in the lineup. A quiet night for the Reds up and down their entire batting order last night. Shut out on 5 hits. Todd Frazier had a season best 7-game hitting streak come to an end last night. Went 0 for 4 after collecting 2 hits, scoring a run. Added a double in the opening game shutout win for the Reds. Votto's not wasting a lot of time getting on base early in a game. That is the third straight game in which he has drawn a first inning walk. So Frazier's walking up there to the plate with at least Votto on base pretty regularly. Votto team best 22 home runs, team high 46 runs batted in. And there's a drive into right center field by Frazier, and it is gone. Now you got to remember all the handshakes.
All right.
That Jim Day told you about before the game started. Here we go. Well, maybe he circles back. Well, there's one of them. Let's see if he comes back to some of those after going through the first round.
He might have to get his list down.
You might be right. It's like a, you know, when you're going to dancing lessons, you ever done that at like an Arthur Murray? You know, they give you the little sheet about the steps for the salsa and the tango and all that. Jim, what's going on down there? I mean, we haven't seen the typical Frazier multitude of different handshakes that you previewed before the game. That one into left center field, and it's caught by Yelich, 2 away.
Well, he normally saves those for before the game.
Okay.
After a home run. It might, I mean, literally, it takes him 3 or 4 minutes to go through all the ones before the game. So he might slow down the pace of the game if he were to do that after each and every home run.
Well, he gets a low cut fastball that is on the outer third, and boy, that is just good patient hitting for Todd Frazier, and that's been the difference for him in the last couple of years. Between hitting 19 home runs a couple of years ago in 2013 to jump to 29 last year, and he'll blow right by that number this year if he stays healthy, because he's just becoming more patient at the plate. It's the same swing, it's the same strength and power and bat speed and all that, but he's getting better pitches to hit because he's not getting himself out on pitchers' pitches nearly as often.
Well, the guy who nearly took that home run away is the major league leader in home runs, Giancarlo Stanton. He has 25, and after being unable to go up there and bring that one back, he almost got it. Frazier now has 23 home runs. Harper's been nicked up here of late. I think the real surprise name on there is Peterson of the Dodgers. There's a tackle foul. Marlins get a run in the first inning. Frazier answers with a 2-run big fly here in the bottom of the first inning, putting the Reds on top of Phelps and the Marlins. 2 down, 1 ball, 2 strikes on Brian Pena. Strike 3 called on the outside corner, and Brian knew it. But Frazier flexing his muscles in the opening inning once again, giving the Reds a 2-1 lead. Line brought to you by Elk and Elk. The last time it happened, well, we told you with 2 rookies making 10 or more starts in the same season. That wasn't all that long ago, and it was a mighty good year. Now, 3 rookies making 10 or more starts, which the Reds will have, it looks like, this year. 2001, not such a great year. Michael Lorenzen, Anthony DeSclafani, Raisel Iglesias, John Moscott. We've seen all of them in the Reds rotation. And Chris, you have to believe another rookie will be on the way up when the Reds need that 5th starter again. They don't this go round because of the off day, the travel day, going to Pittsburgh tomorrow. They will after, when they roll into New York. This game is tied as Bohr hits one a mile to the seats in right field.
I've been waiting for this guy to put a good swing on a pitch, because he has looked good in the batter's box, but just has not really done anything in this series so far. And he looked like he just was waiting for a softball pitch right there. He double clutched, get his hands back, and just let it rip. After an 0 for 4 night last night, watch how he just kind of gives you a little hitch right there and launches. Well, that pitch right there is not going to get very many people out at all at this level.
All right, lead is gone, 2-2, and here's Mathis for the first time in the series. Only 23 at bats so far this year from Mathis, with 3 runs batted in. Popped up short right, long run for everybody. And Phillips is a guy who goes way out there to get it.
Well, evidently that turf toe is feeling a whole lot better, because he does go a long way on the fly pattern right here. Brandon Phillips. Does with a little flair too. So you give him some extra style points.
I'm sure Jim Day will be talking to him about that play sometime after the game today. Echeverria. 1 ball and 1 strike. Been a quiet series for this guy, and he came in having a nice year. .295 batter when this season began. There's a liner into right. That's tough luck hitting right there. He has not had tough luck hitting in this series. The Reds have just gotten him out regularly without a hit through the first 2 games in an at bat. Well, today's game, again, we're participating in the home run challenge. Every Reds home run in this game will raise $12,500 for prostate cancer research, and we invite you to make a pledge if you're able. Go online to homerunchallenge.org. Phelps 1 of 21 as a batter, and now 1 of 22. So Lorenzen gives up the home run to begin the inning, which ties the game after an inning and a half. A 2-2 contest.
Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. Tony Perez, one of the greatest Reds of all time, has been in town all weekend. He's been in the front office for the Miami Marlins for quite some time, and we asked him today about managing in that futures game an all-star weekend alongside former teammate Ken Griffey Sr.
Talked to Griffey this morning, and he's exciting too, and let's see what happens. We're just trying to get everybody in the game and see where they have fun. I mean, we want to have fun and see who wins, whoever scores more runs. That's it.
It's always great to see Doggy, one of the greatest human beings of all time. And it was interesting a couple of days ago as he was around the batting cage and seeing the guys like Pena and Iglesias that were around him, also of Cuban descent, and just to see the look in their eyes, it was obvious that he is an idol of theirs, and it was just terrific to see.
Well, I tell you what, you'll never meet a sweeter man. His wife, Patuca, just beautiful, beautiful people. We remember their sons so well, Victor and Eduardo. They grew up around the baseball park. Eduardo, of course, played for a number of years in the major leagues, including a time with the Reds. A happy Father's Day, Tony Perez. Strike one to Marlon Byrd. Ken Griffey Jr.'s. He had a son that wasn't too bad either.
Huh. He's still playing some ball, right?
I misspoke. I meant Ken Griffey Sr.
Okay,
his kid didn't do too bad either.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, his son is playing football
at University of Arizona.
Yes, for Rich Rodriguez. He had a big year last year. Third pitch of the at bat. Marlon Byrd shoots one into center field. 2-2 game. Yeah, they'd show Junior all the time. If you stayed up late to watch a lot of those games from the West Coast, you'd see Junior on the sideline or in the stands quite a bit. Eugenio Suarez, 5 hits in his first 27 at-bats as a Red. He had a double. His only hit in 3 plate appearances last night, and he's behind strike one.
You're going to see a lot of that type of a pitch from David Phelps, moving away from a right-handed hitter. He throws a lot of cutters, a lot of four-seam fastballs. Does not throw a true slider. And an occasional curve. So the pitch that you see right around 88 miles an hour, that's the cutter. The 90-mile-an-hour pitch is the two-seam fastball that he just threw, trying to get a ground ball. And he throws a four-seamer around 92, 91 in that range there.
1-1 to Suarez, and it's hooked into left field, a base hit. Now, Chris, you brought it up the other day in Detroit. You know, you think middle infielders, and that's starting to become, from days gone by, not a lot of power for middle infield players. That's changing by the day. This Suarez got a little pop in that bat.
Well, I mean, the Reds gave up a pretty good player to get him. Alfredo Simon went the other way to Detroit, and they got a young player, a shortstop. We didn't really know anything about him. He played about half the year in the big leagues last year for the Tigers, and you know, so he's had some big league time, but he's a young player, and the more you see of him, the more you like him. I mean, I like the way he sprays the ball. In 2 successive nights, he had a double down the left field line, then last night a double down the right field line. He's got some pop. We saw that in spring training. We've also seen some home runs hit here. Makes seemingly every routine play there is at shortstop. We haven't seen him long enough to see him have a chance to make a lot of tremendous plays.
Well, now a perfect spot with 2 on and none out for Lorenzen. He lays down the bunt, and that'll advance the runners. So Lorenzen gets his third sacrifice. And now an RBI chance for Billy Hamilton, which could put the Reds back in front.
Well, good job by Lorenzen to lay it down, but a terrible job by the Marlins defense right here. The third baseman, Derek Dietrich, has no reason at all to come charging as hard as he does. This ball's right back up the middle. So Phelps fields this on the second shot. This guy ought to stay home right here, and if you do that, you're going to have a play at third base. Because they were playing the basic bunt defense right there. And if you were ever going to try to be aggressive and get that runner at third, that bunt would have given you an opportunity to do that. So the Reds take advantage of a bad defensive play by the Marlins. Second and third, and a chance now for Billy Hamilton to bring some action.
224 batter, 18 runs batted in for Hamilton. Batting left-handed, of course, and takes high, ball one.
Good pitch to lay off. I mean, Billy, you don't want to get this ball in the air. I mean, even Billy right now. I mean, yeah, you take a sacrifice fly, but he's got to tell himself when he comes to the plate left-handed, I want it waist and below.
Naturally, they're in on the corners, guarding against a potential bunt. Middle infield playing back, and Hamilton fouls it to the screen. Second and third, one away. Hamilton shows bunt, and the ball hit him. Pitcher Phelps is saying, really? And, you know, maybe asking, did he offer it to pitch as it was coming to the plate and trying to bunt? I think that's what Dan Jennings is wondering about.
Well, if you offer it the pitch and the ball hits you, it is a strike. And a dead ball, and evidently they tried to pull the bat back, and
now the Redlegs have them loaded for Brandon Phillips. Brandon hit a ball off the end of the bat, a one hopper right to the first baseman board for an out leading off the game. But now a chance to do some big time damage for the Reds second baseman. Bird, Suarez, and Hamilton third, second, and first. Ball one away. Reds were 0 for 7 as a team last night, batting with runners in scoring position. Trying to change that today.
He really has not pitched any right-handers inside with any consistency today. So Brandon Phillips got to figure that on a 2-0 count he may get the same type of pitch that Todd Frazier had that drove it out of here to right center field. That should be his thinking here.
And now Mathis going to come out and visit with this right-hander Phelps, who's in a pile of trouble. Bases loaded and one out. Threw a fastball right by him, 2-0. Phillips with the bases loaded this year has 3 hits and 7 runs batted in. Has a chance to add to that here, but all of a sudden after getting ahead 2-0, Phelps coming back with a pair of fastballs to even the count.
Seems like his catcher Jeff Mathis went out there and said, hey, stop trying to fool him and just come right after him here. You know, plus the other part of it is that those pitchers are up a little bit. Brandon's hot zone is a little bit lower in the zone. That's when he really likes to drop the bat head.
Double play ball here, and that'll kill the big time rally. 2-2 at the end of 2.
very warm afternoon, 2-2 ball game, top of third inning. Michael Lorenzen and David Phelps battling it out. And on this summer solstice day, the longest day of the year, and it's Father's Day too, it gives you a chance to say Happy Father's Day more times really than in any other day of the season. So, and there's, you know, sometimes it's sons that make fathers very, very proud. And as they grow up, they live maybe even in the footsteps of their father. And you know, when you take a look back at some pictures of some young men that have along the way made their papa very, very proud.
Good looking kid there. Who's that?
Well, if you don't recognize that guy, maybe I'll look in the mirror.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Look at the Adidas. Looking sweet.
Wearing the jeans at the ballpark.
That's as a bad boy in spring training.
That's nice. That's old Al Lopez Field,
yes,
right?
It is. I think it is. Looks like it.
You still have those sunglasses?
I do. Had them on today. A little beat up, but so am I.
Well, Tom, really, it's great to. It is so much fun, really, working with you, also working with your dad, being with your dad on a daily basis. I mean, you're getting to experience something in your adult life that very, very few people are able to do, which is really spend, you know, work time with your dad as well as, you know, family time, vacation time, and so on. And you guys have a very special relationship.
Well, it is a lot of fun. You know, of all the times, and of course, you live here year round. I live here year round. My dad lives year round. It's always so interesting when you get the questions from a lot of dads, I mean older dads whose sons are working with them, and then some of the questions from the sons, and they're really serious questions. You know, hey, what's it really like, you know, working with your dad? I work with mine. And inevitably you'll all come to the same conclusion. You wouldn't trade it for anything in the world most of the time. You know, you absolutely love it. You're blessed and privileged to be able to do it. But there are the days where, like any father and son or brothers or whatever it might be, there's going to be a little headbutting going on. You seem to bear most of that, though, of all the other announcers.
I'm like the adopted son.
You really are. You really are. And you know, my dad's almost old enough to be your dad.
And it's a good thing I can take it, too.
And you take it well.
Well, it is fun to see you guys interact.
Thank you for the crew for getting those pictures. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Boy, Luke just looks just like you.
I'm looking forward to hanging with them, Ellen and Luke, later. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend. You have yours starting to spread out a little bit.
Yeah. When they get older, you'll figure it out, too, that they find their own lives and embark on new adventures.
You know, Ellen and Luke's adventures are, yeah, it's great. It's Father's Day. Can we go to the swimming pool, please? It's a little warm outside. Follow the Reds wherever you are with MLB.com at bat. That's what your kids do now. The #1 app for live baseball. They can watch Dad out of town. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Can you watch that in another country?
I'm sure you can, yeah. I mean, the internet is the internet, right? Although when you get on an MLB at bat, don't they check your location to make sure that you're not in a blacked out area? I would think that if you're in another country, it wouldn't be blacked out. We get calls all the time and emails from people all around the world watching. Especially when we have the honor of being on the American Forces Network.
Well, those guys appreciate having a chance to watch sports in America. It doesn't matter if they're a Reds fan, Marlin fan, whoever they root for. You know, we especially hear a lot of it when they come back home or their parents were in touch with the son who's serving somewhere overseas, and we'll get an email to the ballpark or to the ball club, a letter about how their son or daughter had a chance to watch the Reds, watch any baseball game, football game, whatever it might be, on AFN. That's fair ball. Pena just in time to get Yelich in a 1-2-3 third from Michael Lorenzen. We're tied at 2 in the middle of the third at Great American Ballpark. Forgive me, Thomas. Canis or Canis from Cincinnati. We get it right if we can send you the title of that card at Tundra. And you can register for your chance to win in an upcoming game. Just stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. 2, 3, and 4 in the Reds batting order. Got a 2-run home run by Frazier in the first inning. Had the bases loaded, 1 out, failed to score in the second. So we're tied at 2 in the third. Votto, Frazier, Bruce coming up on this Father's Day. Bright sunny Sunday. Reds will have one more homestand before the All-Star game. They have 2 road trips. And these Marlins will be their opponent the final game leading up to the All-Star break when the Reds go rolling into Miami on July 9, 10, 11, 12. All-Star Sunday, of course, is here the 12th. Home run hitting contest that night. Monday night, the 13th. The All-Star game itself on Fox on Tuesday the 14th. Nothing at 2 on Joey Votto, who walked and then scored on the Frazier home run in the first. This month, only Stanton and Harper with a higher slugging percentage than Votto. Frazier 5th on that list. It has been a great month, a down month, and a very, very good month for Votto to start this season. And of course, we have plenty of June left to go. Travel day tomorrow for the Reds, and we'll see the Pirates for the first time since very early in the year. The Reds played them a pair of series within the first 30 days of the year. Three games starting Tuesday night in Pittsburgh, and then the Reds' first look at the New York Mets. 2 games over 500, losers of 4 in a row. They slipped behind the Nationals for the top spot in the NL East yesterday. Nationals, of course, got the no-hitter by Max Scherzer, and Votto gone on strikes to open the 3rd inning. Second strikeout for Phelps. Be a part of Major League Baseball action. Talked about All-Star Sunday. It's right here at Great American Ballpark, July the 12th. Tickets available right now at allstargame.com. Those Nationals have jumped all over the Pirates again, still batting in the bottom of the 1st inning. And a 3-0 Washington lead. So we touched on it in the 1st inning when Frazier hit the home run. 7 of his 23 have come in the 1st inning. And of his 48 runs batted in, 16 of the 48 have come in the 1st inning. So 1/3 of his season total of runs batted in coming in the opening inning.
Well, that means 2 things. Number 1, the Reds are getting off early and often, getting some runs in. Number 2 is that that's the 1st inning. You're always guaranteed to bat in the 1st inning when you're batting 3rd in the lineup. So it's not like you have an equal chance of batting in every inning throughout. So that right away that stat's going to be a little bit skewed, but it does show you that the Reds have gotten off the board early, or gotten on the board early.
Rio pitch. Frazier thought it was ball 4. It's called strike 1. Quinn Wolcott, the home plate umpire. Gary Cedarstrom at first. Eric Cooper at second. Lance Barksdale at 3rd. Fox track says right on the outside corner. Jam shot pop up to Echeverria for the 2nd out of the inning. Now we're looking at some of the teams and ongoings around Major League Baseball. And Chris, I can't help but noticing as you scan the standings and who's playing well. the Tampa Bay Rays, and I'm not throwing you on the spot here because I'll admit before I even throw it out to you or anybody else out there watching, now there are a lot of fantasy league players and that kind of thing, but you know, we don't play the Rays this year. So I really have no desire or interest in following what they're doing outside of, you know, keeping an eye on them from time to time in the standings. They've won 4 straight. They're 10 games over 500. 10 over. I can't tell you 3 players in their starting lineup.
Yeah, you're right. It's hard because they have had some changeover, including getting a new manager this year. But what they've done as well as anybody in baseball is win on the road.
We'll come back to that. A 1-2-3 inning. And a 3, a 2-2 game.
By authority of the Cincinnati Reds, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, a reminder coming up later, as always, we will have our Miller Time moment presented by Miller Lite. 2-2 game as the Marlins come to bat here in the 4th inning. Giancarlo Stanton, Marcell Ozuna, and Justin Bour. Bour hit a long home run his first time up. Stanton, an RBI ground out his first time up. Strike 1. Michael Lorenzen going to work quickly in a fastball, misses outside to Stanton. Major league leader in home runs, 25, RBI 63. You know, Stan had an interesting quote in the paper before this series began about, you know, coming into Great American Ballpark. And make no mistake, you know, a lot of those ballparks in the National League East where he plays most of his games, they are very much, except for Philadelphia, they are very much pitchers' ballparks. Turner Field is big and spacious. Washington's huge. So is Miami. Citi Field, they had to move in the fences because guys were complaining about being unable to hit the ball out of the seats. Hamilton couldn't hang on, a diving attempt. And that'll be a single for Giancarlo Stanton to open the 4th inning. But Stanton said, you know, players get so excited. And he said, nobody's more guilty of this than me in past years. I'd see we're coming into Cincinnati, big-time hitters park. Be all juiced up about, you know, hitting some home runs. He said, and then all of a sudden you walk to the plate in the 3rd game of the series for your 3rd at bat. You don't have a home run, and you have 3 balls that are caught on the warning track. He said you get that out of your system, you go to the next ballpark, which is a pitcher's park, and you hit 5 bombs in 4 days.
Yeah, it's funny. That's the one thing that they haven't been able to quantify on a computer by analyzing baseball or baseball stats is the human being part of it. how you show up one day, you feel great, and you have a great day. The next day, you feel great, and you have a horrible day. Where you come into a ballpark where you think you're going to really go off. Like for years, they did that in Colorado. But the Rockies seemed to be the team that would go off, not the visiting teams, except on occasion when a visiting team would go out and score 20 runs. Reds have had those days. And it's not the physical how you feel, it's sometimes the mental how you feel. What happened to Anthony DeSclafani in the middle of the game last night? He was cruising right along. All of a sudden, he just seemed to have lost it.
Ozuna going on strikes, one away. I want to get back because you started jumping on the computer and looking up. I had made the comment about the Tampa Bay Rays. 10 games over 500. Leaders in the American League East, where 4 of the 5 teams are over 500. And I made the comment, and I meant it sincerely. Outside of Evan Longoria, I did not know another regular starting position player on that team. Those some of their pitchers, and they have the #1 ERA in the American League. But that's without David Price being around anymore. James Shields isn't around anymore, and there are others.
Well, you hit on Longoria, and he's having a decent year. 7 home runs, 31 or 32 ribbies. Logan Forsythe. You knew him from San Diego. They had a big deal, a 3-team deal over the winter, and Forsythe ended up in Tampa Bay having a really good year, 31 ribbies.
But a cast off from another team.
Sousa, he was an outfielder for a little bit of part-time with the Washington Nationals last year. He got involved in that trade from San Diego to Tampa Bay. He's really the one that's providing a lot of offense. He leads the team in home runs, 14, 31 ribbies. David DeJesus is still playing. He's playing down there. Joey Butler's their DH. Asdrubal Cabrera, was former infielder for the Indians. That's trouble.
That one down the line to the corner up against the wall. Berry going to play it and get it in quickly. That'll be a double for Bohr, who has a double and a home run. And now the Marlins have second and third with 1 out.
Not a bad pitch, and this is the one thing that kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit about Michael Lorenzen. I mean, for everything good that he's got going for him, he doesn't miss a lot of bats. He averages 95 on a fastball, which by itself you would figure, well, you're going to have a certain amount of strikeouts with that. But he doesn't really log that many strikeouts. And that pitch is on the black, on the knees, seemingly a pitcher's pitch, and it was rifled down the left field line for a hit. So there may not be as much deception there now, in his first year in the major leagues, that he'll figure out how to add a little bit of that, maybe add a little bit of finger pressure on the ball, get some more run, of some more movement. This is kind of a learning process for him. That you make a good pitch up here, there's no guarantee you're going to make it out.
Second and third, Reds middle infield conceding the run. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike on Mathis, who's just off the DL after missing a lot of time with a broken hand. He hit that pop-up that Brandon Phillips ran down way out in right field his first time up. One and two. Echeverria on deck, then the pitcher spot. This is a big out here for Lorenzen. And there a strike 3 call. So do you go ahead and just not take the chance of the number 8 hitter, nearly a 290 batter on the year? As that fastball is right there, thanks to Apollo for strike 3, and then you take your chances with a pitcher with 2 away in the inning.
Nice action and comeback on that fastball. That's one that he just gave up on. So he's got 2 strikeouts in the inning. I think that Brian Price has made that decision, and with a young pitcher, that's probably the right thing to do. maybe with any pitcher, it's the right thing to do.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean, unless you have concerns that your pitcher cannot throw strikes. And that is not a problem normally for Mike Lorenzen.
You talked about being unable to quantify or qualify certain things about baseball, and just to tie a ribbon around that very brief Tampa Bay conversation we had, there's something I'd like to see a study done on that franchise. Because no, I really mean they have no fan support. They play in the worst stadium in baseball.
Agreed.
They have no interest in the greater area. I mean, you know, there's just it seems as though nobody cares. They lose all their big time players, and yet they find a way to compete. Here's David Phelps. And there's strike one with the bases loaded.
Well, they've got two of their starting pitchers that have earned run averages in the 2s, including their ace, Chris Archer, 8-4 with a 2.1 earned run average in that division, which is something to brag about. Plus, he's striking out 116 batters in 95 innings.
0-2 to count on the pitcher. Bases loaded. 60 pitches in the game for Lorenzen, and here we are in the 4th inning. And he tries to put away Phelps and leave him loaded, which he does. Good work by Lorenzen. Second and third and one out, gets out of it. We're tied at 2.
Tell me, hey, Dad, look how many throws I threw. And he pointed to his arm, and he'd pretend one arm was longer than the other. You know, to this day, I believed him, and now I know it's a joke. But, you know, I'm going to do that to my kids probably when I get older. He taught me the right way to play. He gave me the first ball and first glove to hit with and throw with, and it's just been fun ever since. Taught me that team game, and I love him for that. This is Todd Frazier wishing a happy Father's Day to all their dads in Reds country.
Well, could you imagine being around that house with his older brothers?
You better grow up fast. If you're going to play with the older boys, I mean, they don't want you if you're going to cry. And if you're going to lag behind and call for mommy every time they beat you up a little bit.
Well, I had a great soccer coach here in this town, a guy named Jack Herman's been around for a long time. Was one of the great players in the world before a motorcycle accident ended his career while playing in Italy. He told me a thing I'll never forget. He said, if you line up 100 kids and you just tell me which is the youngest kid in their family, he said, I'll take those kids on my team and I don't care if they can play or not. Having never seen them, all things being equal, give me the youngest one in the family.
You know, there's no doubt. And in fact, there was a book that had a whole chapter dedicated to that called The Talent Code, where the author, Daniel Coyle, did a study on all the greatest sprinters in the history of track and field.
And he found out that 95% of them were their third or fourth kid in the family, because in order to play with the older kids, they had to learn how to run faster, and they just learned how to run faster.
They were getting chased to get whacked on all the time by big brother or big sister, right?
I think there was maybe only one or two exceptions. I mean, we're talking about, you know, Bob Hayes and Usain Bolt, and I mean the real. It was a fascinating chapter in that book.
Very interesting. Two and two the count to Brian Pena in this 2-2 game in the last of the fourth inning. You're talking about sprinters and having to learn young. Of course, unless I'm forgetting somebody, the greatest sprinter with Ohio ties of all time would be the great Jesse Owens. Grew up in Cleveland after being born in Alabama. Of course, competed at the Ohio State University. He was the youngest of 10 children. 3 girls and 7 boys. Mercy. Swing and a foul ball out of play.
I bet the bathwater was pretty well used by the time it came around to be his turn.
Oh, man. Ninth pitch of this at bat, and a good one. Capped off by drawing a walk. We can get free autographs with the price of admission, of course, from your favorite MLB and Reds legends and Hall of Famers like Barry Larkin, Tony Perez, Eric Davis, and many more. The T-Mobile All-Star Fan Fest. That's at the Duke Energy Convention Center in downtown Cincinnati. Tickets available now at allstargame.com. All that'll be revving up 4 days before the All-Star game. Second walk issued by Phelps. He's also hit about it. And now it's Marlon Byrd who singled into center field his only time up. There was a 1-1 count when Byrd shot one into center field in the second inning, and a 1-1 count right now.
Trying to keep the double play in order.
Talking recently about how well the Pirates over an extended period of play have been playing, but boy, they have run into the wrong team on the wrong weekend in D.C. Pirates were no hit yesterday. And the Nationals at the end of an inning lead 9-0.
That was Charlie Morton, 2/3 of an inning, 8 hits, 9 runs. Harper's back and playing. Bryce Harper hit his 24th in that first inning.
They were very lucky. They thought he had sustained an injury that would keep him out for quite some time. Turned out not to be the case.
Yeah, hamstring injury, actually throwing the ball, trying to make an assist over, I think, throwing to third base. Having a heck of a year, Harper is.
Two balls and 2 strikes on Bird. Double play ball if they can turn it. And they do.
Well, this is like deja vu all over again. Last night it seemed like every time the Reds had a runner at first base, Justin Nicolino would roll up a ground ball double play. Reds hit into 3 of them last night. And this is the second one they've hit in here this afternoon.
Our T-Mobile game changer, we just mentioned the Pirates yesterday running into Max Scherzer. How about these last 2 starts for Mr. Scherzer? Both complete game shutouts. 1 walk, 1 hit batter, 1 hit in 18 innings. 26 punch-outs. How are we looking?
Did anybody see this coming when he was pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
I'm sure someone did. There had to be some infighting when they traded him away. I don't remember.
I thought part of the reason that they traded him away is that they were worried about his delivery, and they thought that his pitching delivery would lend itself to an arm injury. I mean, he was at Arizona. He only spent really parts of 2 seasons.
What years were those?
Those were 2008. He only had 4 stars. He had 7 stars. He was 0-4.
I remember when they drafted him #1. He's a Missouri kid, if I remember right.
Yeah, right from St. Louis. As is David Phelps, right-hander on the mound now for the Marlins from Florissant, which is right outside of St. Louis. Phelps ended up going to Notre Dame, pitching for the Irish. Was scrolling through the list of former baseball players who played at Notre Dame who made the major league. Boy, that's a long list.
And most of those guys played for the recently named manager of the San Diego Padres, Pat Murphy. Murphy, a guy who really took that Notre Dame baseball program to higher heights before he left to become the head man at Arizona State,
where he coached Mike Leake.
Three and 2. Suarez gone swinging, and the Reds gone in the 4th. We move to the 5th on this getaway Sunday rubber game, tied at 2.
by Meijer. Find more for a healthier you at Meijer. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on U.S. News and World Report's Best Children's Hospital. I'm Jim Day. Let's take another moment to wish everyone out there, all you papas out there, a very happy Father's Day here in 2015. Brian Price also celebrating Father's Day. And since we're not on the air tomorrow, let's give a happy early birthday to Brian Price. Happy 53rd for the Red skipper, which he'll celebrate tomorrow on a off day / travel day as the Reds head to the Berg.
And Jim Day, you'll be on that flight tomorrow. Chris, you'll be on there as well. Headed for Pittsburgh, PA. So early happy birthday indeed, Brian Price. Hopefully he can enjoy a nice dinner once they get into downtown Pittsburgh. After spending a little bit of time here with his family. His daughter's out of town. Father's Day fell on a great day for Lenny Harris. He has a daughter going to college here. And she's already enrolled in school. She just started her freshman year starting in the summer. And he was just delighted that he was able to spend part of this Father's Day weekend with one of his daughters. Talked about him for a long time last night. One of the great guys, certainly great character. Competitors in the game. Two and two on D. Gordon. It's a very important inning for Lorenzen. You're tied at 2. You have a top of the order up. And it starts with this guy who can cause you some problems. And he's on base to start the inning. Well, what a year Gordon is having. Batting .355 so far this season.
Well, he got off to such a tremendous start in the month of April. I mean, you know, he was hitting like 500 that month. And a changeup right here, and normally belt high changeups aren't a good spot for him. Gordon reinforces that. Funny how different runners take leads in different ways. We saw Anthony Gose, the center fielder for the Tigers, come in here and had a lead, and he would keep inching off little by little by little. Gordon doesn't do that. He gets out there and he flexes his knees as if to fake a little bit, to try to get the attention of the pitcher, but also maybe to give him a little bit of like timing, like you want a little bit of movement in the batter's box. You just don't want to start from perfect stop to go. So you keep a little rhythm going, bouncing your knees a little bit. As a hitter, you see guys wave the bat back and forth. Runners do the same thing. That's a decent lead, but not really that sizable.
Came in with a fastball on his hands, nothing in 2.
Really good pitch right there. Looked like he threw that with a lot of conviction.
Straight away center field, hit pretty well, hit really well. And Hamilton plays it off the wall. On his way to third is Gordon. Lenny Harris going to wave him around. Here comes a throw to the plate, and he is out. Hamilton to Phillips to Pena.
What a great defensive play by the Reds. I mean, you can't play it any better. Hamilton goes back, plays it perfectly off the wall, and gets rid of it quickly to the cutoff man. And Phillips, as he most normally does, throws it right on the money. If any part of that breaks down, Gordon scores a run.
And now the manager, Dan Jennings, wants to challenge this call at home. Well, we've seen a third time in the last week that bat get in the way. Normally you see the on-deck crew go out there and grab a hold of that thing.
Boy, if you're Michael Lorenzen, you're thinking, I just gave up a ball that went off the center field wall, and I've got a chance of getting an out of it because my defense picked us up. And the fans here at the ballpark are being shown a still life frame of this is what they're seeing here at the ball game, or at the ballpark. So the tag by Brian Pena looks like it is applied, no doubt, before D. Gordon gets his hand across the plate. This shouldn't take long. We had a fascinating conversation yesterday with a couple of the umpires that have been around to watch the way they operate this. And one of the umpiring supervisors, I don't know if he's here today or not, Randy Martz, and he had a little video on his phone that he showed us of the essentially central command inside New York and how many TV panels they have and how they split up the work among the different umpires, and they sit with technicians, each umpire does, and they keep each umpire crew there a full week, and it is just fascinating. And you talk about high tech. Each umpire is responsible for watching 2 games along with the technician. And when they see a play like this, as soon as they see something on the field which gives them an indication that it may be a review called for, they immediately get on it because they are constantly trying to reduce the amount of time it takes to make a decision.
You know, the more I look at this, I think this is a question of Pena's holding the ball in his right hand. He doesn't have the ball in his glove.
Well, we're going to get a decision here.
Out is still the call. But I think when you initially looked at that, you saw the glove, which is normally where the catcher has the ball.
And I assumed he had it in his glove at first.
And he didn't. And so I think that's what they wanted to make sure of, because the glove clearly tagged him before his hand touched the plate. But did the bare hand where the ball was actually possessed? So the call stands. It'll be a double for Dietrich. 1 out in the inning. And a bouncing ball, a one-hopper right at Yelich. He'll look the runner back. 1 more out to go.
I love riding in those 8-4-2 double plays.
Now you have Giancarlo Stanton, and apparently the Reds are going to come after him. But a go-ahead run at second base, 2 outs in the inning. Stan is 0 for 2 in the game. He knocked in a run with a runner at third and 1 out. Just tapped one to Brandon Phillips to drive in the run in the first inning for the Marlins. And then he scalded one to center field. A base hit his last time up. That's Dietrich from St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland, Ohio, out there at second base, and they're going to retire Stanton to end this inning, so they're not backing down to Giancarlo Stanton. We're tied at 2. Seniors rode the Fan Express to Great American Ballpark to root the Reds on to get a win here today. Dates are going quickly for the Fan Express, but you can still sneak in. 513-765-7600 to see if your group can get signed up and make the date work. Happy Father's Day on this beautiful Sunday in Cincinnati. Marlins and the Reds are tied at 2. Michael Lorenzen, Billy Hamilton, Brandon Phillips. The trio to start it against David Phelps. Last Reds hit came in the second inning. They were back-to-back, Bird and Suarez. An inning where the Reds would eventually load the bases, and then Phelps got Brandon Phillips to bounce into a double play to win the inning. Punch to the right side, gobbled up by Gordon, 1 out. It's time to vote for your All-Stars. Vote 35 times on the 2015 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot at Reds.com. Trying to get Todd Frazier in there as a starter. Vote today at Reds.com. We're talking about teams that can hit. Well, how about that Blue Jays team? They were trailing in the second inning today, 7-0. By the third inning, they led 9-7. They got some guys that can hammer in that lineup.
You're right about that.
And for a long time, one of them has been the former Red third baseman Edwin
Encarnacion.
What a career he's putting together.
Well, you know, that was after he was traded to the Blue Jays in exchange for Scott Rowland. Then the Blue Jays gave up on him and sent him out. And he came back and he really rededicated himself to getting in shape and taking baseball a lot more seriously, I think, than he did previously. That's what I hear. And well, he has really etched himself out a nice major league career. Blue Jays blew a lead yesterday. They gave up 3 in the 9th inning to lose that, and they are, from what I understand, on the hunt for some relief work.
That's in the air to right center field. Stanton will make a nice running catch, and Billy Hamilton retired.
I'll tell you what, he went a long way to get that ball. Stanton did. I mean, when's the last time you've seen a Reds outfielder make a catch in the right center field gap by that Toyota sign out there? Maybe the
almost 2 strides away.
That's Billy territory when the Reds are on defense.
You know what was interesting about the Encarnacion thing? You know, you were talking about him being, released. He was actually claimed off waivers by the Oakland Athletics, and then Oakland non-tendered him less than a month later, which made it possible for him to go back to Toronto. Normally, that's not the kind of miss that the Athletics make. They're going to take a flyer on somebody. They normally give him the shot. Tapper down to third. Dietrich to his glove side, and that did not last long. Reds gone in order. Off to the 6th in a 2-2 game. Marlins scored in the first inning. The Reds answered with 1+1 on a 2-run home run by Frazier, his 23rd. The lead did not last long. The first batter of the very next half inning, Justin Bohr, slammed one to the seats in right. A 2-2 game, and both pitchers pitching shutout baseball since, although in very different ways. Lorenzen allowed 2 hits, got out of a bases loaded jam in the 4th. He allowed 2 hits, had a runner thrown out, D. Gordon at the plate. Whereas David Phelps has only allowed 1 base runner over the last 3 innings, and that was a leadoff walk to Brian Pena in the 4th. Reds have not had a hit since the Eugenio Suarez single in the 2nd inning. Lorenzen has been in trouble in 3 of the 4 innings in which he's pitched. Run scoring in the 1st, run scoring in the 2nd. He had a 1-2-3 third. Bases loaded. 1 out. Got out of the 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Got out of the 4th, and had that play the last half inning where D. Gordon was thrown out on a double by Derek Dietrich.
Well, and for Lorenzen, it's been the leadoff man in all those innings. 4 of the 5 innings have either reached or the 1 home run by Bohr in the 2nd inning.
What a pickup by Brandon Phillips.
Wow.
On the defensive side, this guy is still having a Gold Glove season. What a year. Jim Day's going to spend a lot of time with Brandon talking about some of the plays he's making here today out there on defense. That ball into right field earlier on. That ball is in the air. Long run for Billy, and it'll be Bird instead. 2 away. Four pitches for Lorenzen, 2 outs. Strike one on Jeff Mathis, 0 for 2. Phillips took away that pop up into right field that Mathis hit his first time up in the 2nd inning, and then a big strikeout for Lorenzen. Was Mathis his last time up? That's when they had runners at 2nd and 3rd and only 1 out in a tie game, and Lorenzen struck him out looking. In the air, center field. A 7-pitch inning for Michael Lorenzen. Reds have Votto, Frazier, Bruce coming up.
The pregame edition, it is brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Counting you down to the All-Star game, let's give you an All-Star spotlight. 1972, Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Little Joe Morgan. Plenty of late game heroics for the National League after tying the game at 2 in the bottom of the 9th. The Hall of Famer sent the National League home happy with a 10th inning walk-off single off of Baltimore's Dave McNally. As a result, Joe Morgan was named the game's MVP. And I got to tell you, in the 1970s, the National League just dominated. And so did the Reds. So many Reds participated in that All-Star game throughout that decade.
Well, you're right about that. You had Ken Griffey Sr. was an MVP of an All-Star game. That one you just talked about with Joe Morgan. Of course, the Cincinnati Reds were a big reason why the National League dominated.
Hey, did you see where the commissioner has decided to disallow a large number of votes emanating from the Kansas City area? May or may not affect the vote overall, but he thought that they were, I don't know, illegally hacked. I guess I'm using that word probably too loosely, but
Well, you knew that he would be taking a look at it. He was very much a hands-on guy. There's not a lot of sitting around and waiting for something to happen with Rob Manfred.
No.
He is a go-getter, and I think he has earned a tremendous amount of respect below the many years he's been working in baseball from both the player's side and the owner's side. There's a broken bat, base hit by Votto, and that'll get it started in his 2-2 game in the 6th inning.
Well, they've been coming in on Joey Votto each and every at bat almost of this entire series, going back to the first game pitched by Dan Herron. And he's trying to come in there again, and Votto's able to get enough of the bat on the ball. He hits it right off the label, but a broken bat single. He's on for the second time in 3 at bats.
Frazier, the 2-run home run to right center field in the opening inning. And he popped up to the shortstop after getting ahead 3-0 in the count his last time up in the 3rd. That's the first hit for the Reds since a single by Suarez, 2 batters into the 2nd inning. And now Frazier trying to get him on the board for the first time since his home run in the opening inning. Big crowd on this beautiful Sunday. 37,000 on hand here last night. Certainly every bit of that, it appears anyway, today. Frazier had a good pitch to hit right there. He'd like to have that one back. Jay Bruce on deck. Votto, 5 steals, has been thrown out twice on the year. Two now on Todd Frazier. Trying to stay away from that thunder, and there's plenty of it in Frazier's bat. Got underneath that one and lifts a fly ball at Ozuna. One away. Start your weekends off with a bang. That means fireworks Fridays at the ballpark. Our next one is July the 3rd. Reds take on the Brewers. Stick around after the game We'll have a Fireworks Friday show featuring a live concert by the Cincinnati Pops Orchestra, all presented by Coca-Cola. For tickets, call 513-381-RADS.
Well, I imagine that July the 3rd fireworks show will be some kind of extra special.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Pirates in town, right? For that.
Brewers.
Brewers for that series.
Foul ball back out of play by Jay Bruce. Yeah, the next homestand will feature the Minnesota Twins in for a 3-game series. The final 2 days of June and the 1st of July, and after an off day, 3, 4, and 5 of July against Milwaukee. Strike one to Jay Bruce. A ball and a strike. Reds need a little kickstart, some life into this offense. Phelps has really quieted things down since the back-to-back singles by Bird and Suarez, and he got out of the bases loaded jam in the 2nd inning, getting Phillips on a double play ball. Reds only have 2 base runners ever since.
Now this is on top of last night when the Reds, by Justin Nicolino making his major league debut, held the Reds along with one other pitcher, A.J. Ramos, to 1 hit. They had 5 hits overall last night.
Well, that'll give you a jump start into right field, and the Reds take the lead.
David Phelps provides the elevation with a changeup about thigh high, and Jay Bruce puts a nice level swing on it. Look at the reaction by David Phelps, thinking, oh my, of all the places to miss.
Not this time. Stanton able to get it for the 2nd out of the inning. Thinking back-to-back there for a minute. For Bruce, home run number 11, and that snaps a 2-2 tie. Marlon Bird with 2 in, 2 out. Bird down a strike, 1 of 2 in a game, is singled and bounced into a double play. Well, foe will turn friend beginning Tuesday night. These Marlins will head back home and take on the St. Louis Cardinals to open a 3-game series. That one swung on and fouled out of play. Yeah, a lot has changed with that Cardinal team since we saw. Of course, the Reds played them, what, 2 series, first week of the season?
Boy, you're not kidding. Everything has changed but the outcome of their games.
Yeah, that's about right. You know, in that series, they're going to have Tyler Lyons on the mound, Jaime Garcia on the mound. They were nowhere in sight when we saw them. Cardinals sporting the best record by far in all of baseball. Bird a base hit into center field. Cardinals have lost 23 games. The only team in the same galaxy with the Cardinals in that regard. Everybody else has 30 or more in baseball. Kansas City, the other Missouri team, 26 losses. Chuck Hernandez comes out for a visit as they have activity. Sam Dyson, a right-hander, getting loose. You know, as the Reds seem to do in these starts made by Lorenzen, if he has a lead, and really even in a tie game, they get him through 6 innings. They generally get him out of the game.
Well, they're trying to control his innings, and they're also, by the 6th inning, you're beginning to see guys for the 3rd time, maybe even more than that. He's already seen everybody in the lineup except the 8 and 9 hitters 3 times in his ball game, and that takes constant adjustment. The more a hitter sees you, the more they feel familiar, and the worse it gets for the pitcher normally.
Well, you saw him come out of the dugout. He's standing in the on-deck circle, but he's one of the few pitchers in the National League that you might allow him to go ahead and hit, fully aware of the fact that if you're Brian Price, you've already decided you're taking him out of the game when the Marlins come to bat in the 7th inning.
Well, you could, but wouldn't you think, though, that if Suarez reaches and the Marlins decide to keep a right-hander in the ball game, I mean, you wouldn't bat him then, would you? Even with a 2-run lead?
No.
I mean, you want to play a little add-on if you possibly can.
But I think the decision's already been made down there. I think
so
Matthews
too.
is coming into the game in the 7th, and ideal world, you got Hoover in the 8th and Chapman in the 9th.
I think you take 6 innings of 2-run baseball out of a rookie pitcher all day, every day in your rotation.
Well, remember his last start came against the Tigers, and that's exactly what they did. They took him out of the game, and the Reds won that game 5-2. 6 innings, 2 runs from Lorenzen. And they're going to have to bat for Lorenzen now. This one shot into right center field. And on to third base goes Marlon Byrd. Eugenio Suarez, a 2-hit day.
Nice bit of hitting by Suarez again. Boy, he uses the entire field.
Well, it goes to show you what I know, which on a daily basis is becoming less and less. I was stunned the other night when Brian Price allowed Lorenzen to bat in a tie game in extra innings with Tucker Barnhart available on the bench. He said the next day he liked Lorenzen's chances of getting a hit, and maybe he hasn't made up his mind. Lorenzen's coming out of this game. Yes, Skip Schumacher, a left-handed batter, has been among the best pinch hitters in all of baseball this year, sitting down there on that bench. It's the first time Suarez has more than 1 hit in a game since the Reds brought him up. And Lorenzen is behind 0-2. Well, he must have known what he was doing. There's a base hit into right field by Lorenzen to drive in a run. How about that?
On an 0-2 pitch, a pitch is down and out of the strike zone, just looking to go that way and does it. Wow. Little slider right there coming off the hand of David Phelps. Yeah, that's just a good pitcher's pitch and a really nice bit of hitting by Lorenzen. So it looked bleak, but it came out just fine.
So that'll be all as Jennings comes to the mound to get Phelps. He was cruising right along until this 6th inning. Allowed a broken bat single to Votto. He got an out, but allowed the home run to Bruce. With 2 outs and nobody on, singles by Bird, Suarez, and Lorenzen manufacture another run. Dyson will come in. Our Skyline Chili called to the bullpen. Back in a moment. A 3-run 6th inning, and the Reds still batting. A 5-2 lead. Runners at first and second. Here's Sam Dyson. First time we've seen him in the series. He faces Billy Hamilton with 2 on and 2 out. After a 2-out, 2-strike run scoring single to right by Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen now has 3 runs batted in 19 at bats and 5 hits. A ball and a strike. Three and one on Billy Hamilton. Dyson the pause, and here it comes. Popped up. And it is caught in foul ground to end the inning. But Jay Bruce gives the Reds a lead. They tack on one more in a 3-run inning. It's a 3-run lead. Jay Bruce, a tie-breaking home run. Reds score 3. And Jay Bruce putting the Reds in the driver's seat thanks to Kia with that home run, his 11th of the year. Well, we were wondering about Michael Lorenzen batting, and it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
He went up there to bat because certainly in a change of pace, and the Reds, as you mentioned, are keeping an eye on Lorenzen's innings. Brian Price going to give this young man a chance to go out there and get through 7. Last time he took him out, he's done it a couple of times at the end of 6. But today, not happening. In fact, this is the first time since the 26th of May, that was against Colorado when he only allowed 2 hits and 1 run, that the Reds are going to let him go beyond 6 full innings. His next start after that against the Nationals, he pitched into the 7th. But the last 3 games, 6 innings, 4 1/3 when he got kicked around a little bit by the Cubs, and then 6 innings in the win over the Tigers his last outing.
I think Brian Price, when asked about it after the game, will tell you part of the decision comes from the fact that he's only thrown 82 pitches. In all those other games you were talking about, Tom, Lorenzo was pushing, 93, 95, 100 pitches.
Broken back, ground ball to Suarez. They'll throw out Echevarria to begin the 7th inning. He's down the Reds bullpen. I mean, Brian's not going to take any chances of letting this thing get away. He has a right-hander, Matthews, joined by the left-hander, Parra. Here comes Ichiro, our steel power tool performer. Among active players, see where he ranks. Hit second only to A-Rod. Look at that, 317 career batting average. All the hits. Great defender. Just an incredible player. Both in Japan and the U.S.
The only thing that I really wish was different with Ichiro is the fact that he had spent more time early in his career in the National League. I would love to have seen him play more.
I was lucky to see him all those years in Seattle doing a lot of games for Fox and a couple trips to the playoffs, and it was just, it's incredible to watch him take batting practice, because when games would start, he'd spray the ball all around, get all the hits and all that kind of thing. But it looked like he'd walk into a round of BP and deciding, I'm just going to do everything but just hit the ball as far as I can. And I mean, it was swing after swing after swing. And that's a big ballpark up there. Could do anything he wanted to do, except hit Michael Lorenzen.
Well, he's got a lot left in his arm right now. Lorenzen does. Still dialing up into the mid-90s. The strikeout of Ichiro, our flamethrower, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce.
Well, Brian Price saying to this young man, go get him. Pitch count being where it is, and so far real good through the first 2 batters, 8 and 9 hole hitters. And now the leadoff man, Gordon, who's given Lorenzen some problems today, starts him with a breaking ball. Gordon is 2 out of 3, a pair of singles, 1 to left, 1 to right, a stolen base and a run scored. One of the biggest plays of this game was Gordon being thrown out at the plate on the double by Dietrich back in the 5th. That fastball at 95. Who knows? He gets through a pitch or 2 here. You wonder if Brian would let him go back out there again for the 8th. I mean, normally that's been reserved here of late for J.J. Hoover, getting to Chapman in the 9th inning.
Well, the only difference there between this inning and that inning is that you're looking at, 2, 3, 4 in the lineup. Gordon's had a couple of hits, and number 2 hitter Dietrich, lefty, has had a couple of base hits.
Well, he's just burying that fastball in on the hands of Gordon. That one at 96 miles per hour. Very impressive. Lorenzen has only walked 1 batter in this game, and that has been a chink in the armor for his rookie season. And the 1 walk he issued was an intentional walk to load the bases in the 4th inning. He's fanned 5, allowed only 7 hits. Pitched out of a couple of big jams in his game. A little fine here after getting ahead in the count of Gordon.
Well, I think Gordon's frustrated him by every time he comes in there with that fastball is able to foul it off. This is the Brett Butler effect.
Now, we talked about his strikeout to walk ratio coming into this game. Not good, but very good today. 9th pitch in this at bat. Gordon can turn around a fastball now. That's his third hit of the game. So does Brian Price stay with him here against a left-handed batting Dietrich? He has Parra down in that bullpen.
Well, he's got a 3-run lead. So the worst thing that could happen here is Dietrich goes deep, and you have a 1-run lead for Michael Lorenzen. This is giving Lorenzen a chance to grow a little bit. I think that's what is partially behind this strategy by Brian Price. I mean, I'm one of those who never wants to say, hey, I mean, do you really want to condition your pitchers to pitch 6 innings and then start looking at the bullpen? Brian, longtime pitching coach, obviously, and I think he probably adheres to that policy as well. I mean, Lorenzen is, you know, a top of the rotation starter in the making. And a lot of that is mindset, not just arm.
Well, now he falls behind Dietrich. Probably safe to say this is going to be the final batter either way for Lorenzen. It's one thing to leave him in when a home run can make it a 1-run game. You're still in front. Got a left-handed batting Yelich standing down there in the on-deck circle.
Yeah. Hey, that was an excellent at bat by D. Gordon. I mean, that's one of the best ones you'll see, you know, all week long, where he kept fouling him off and fouling him off and finally got a pitch he could handle.
High fly ball, right center field, and he sticks for the young man, and he delivers the goods. We're going to keep it right here for the singing of God Bless America. What an outing today from Michael Lorenzen. 7 innings of 2-run baseball. His team leads by 3.
Please stand. Kindly remove your hats and face the American flag. Major League Baseball, the Reds and the Marlins salute the men and women of our armed forces, as well as those who serve to protect in our local police and fire departments. At this time, please help us honor these brave men and women and all our veterans of service, and welcome the Mystics as they lead us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home, my home sweet
The post-game edition. We'll put a stamp on this bad boy today. Expanded Reds highlights, as always, reaction from the clubhouse, and more from the Fox Sports Ohio condominiums. Reds Live. It's brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Tom Berman.
All righty, well, here we go in the bottom half of the 7th inning. The Reds scored 3 in the 6th to take a 5-2 lead. Steve Cishek, the former closer of the Marlins, struggled mightily in the early part of the year, lost his job, and trying to perhaps regain that spot. Top of the order, Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Todd Frazier. 7 strong innings today by Michael Lorenzen. That'll fall in, a base hit for Brandon. Our lows never stop improving. That's a story for Joey Votto. Walked his first time up to the plate today, extending his consecutive game streak of reaching base to 29. It's the longest active streak in Major League Baseball. He's also added a single. He scored a couple of runs. J.J. Hoover beginning to throw now in the Reds bullpen. Cishek has been in pretty much money in the bank the last couple of years. 34 of 36 in save chances 2 years ago, 39 of 43 last year, after originally becoming the closer full-time in 2012. But fell upon hard times the early part of this season.
Boy, did he ever. I mean, really starting from the very first game of the year, where he came out against the Atlanta Braves and in 1/3 of an inning gave up 4 runs. Walked a couple of batters in that game, and it was just kind of a tailspin ever since. He put in some good outings, don't get me wrong. Some scoreless 1-inning outings.
Well, he grew up in Falmouth, Massachusetts, attended college for a while down at Carson Newman College in Tennessee.
Falmouth is out on the Cape. I mean, way out there on the Cape, if I remember. He's lost a couple of miles on his fastball. When you go back to 2013, he was averaging up around 94. He's down a little bit over 91.5 now.
Runner going, they'll stay out of the double play. Ball hooked to the right side by Votto. Brandon into second base, 1 out.
When we first saw Steve Cishek, I mean, he looked as nasty as they came. I mean, sidearm, all sorts of run, throwing low to mid-90s. And we haven't seen him very much in this series. In fact, he's only pitched 1 so far in this 3-game set. 2/3 of an inning the other night. Like, he gave up a couple of hits and then a double play ball. But it seems like the ball is just flattened out a little bit. And when you throw sidearm, you still have to keep your fingers on top of the baseball and not on the side of the baseball. You want those pitches to have depth.
Frazier, the 2-run home run to get the Reds off and running in the first inning. He has since popped to short and flied out to center field. Sweeping breaking ball caught the outside corner. 1-2.
You watch a guy like Steve Cishek, and I was asked a question: why don't more minor league organizations produce guys who throw sidearm like this? Because the oddity of his arm angle is part of the deception. So you have a kid that throws pretty hard overhand, but he's not getting the job done, and he gets into the middle of the high minor leagues. Why not drop him down? Say, let's go out in the bullpen for a few weeks now. We'll work on you throwing sidearm and see if that makes you any better. We go back to the former Red Scott Sullivan to see where he had a whole lot of success doing that when he was in college. I mean, if you really love the game and you hit a plateau and you hit the ceiling where it just doesn't look like it's getting any better, maybe sometimes you'll try something new. Or the organization taps the guy on the shoulder and says, hey, maybe we try something new. And I think that's especially true for left-handers. Frazier hanging right in there after really a steady diet of pitches on that outer part of the plate.
Straight away center field. This one will stay in the yard. Ozuna back to the track. And tagging is Phillips. Boy, anymore, whenever Frazier makes solid contact, or at least one that's in the air and appears to be hit pretty well, you just never know. He's so strong.
I mean, they even sound good off the end of the bat. Some guys hit him off the end of the bat, and it sounds like he hit it with a newspaper.
Well, Jay Bruce, a batter, he hit the home run to give the Reds a lead in a 2-2 game 1 inning ago. That came off starter, and right now the pitcher of record for the Marlins, David Phelps. And it looks like Dan Jennings is going to bring in a left-hander to face him. They have two in that bullpen, Mike Dunn and Brad Hand. And it will be Hand to come on and pitch. Back with more in a moment. Ballpark taking on the Brewers. On Friday, we have the special 4th of July fireworks show brought to you by the Missouri Division of Tourism. That'll be on the 4th of July, the Saturday night. We have a regular fireworks show on Friday night. You can purchase your 4th of July tickets today. 381-REDS. Brad Hand, a left-hander. We saw in the opening game of the series, did not fool anybody. Faced Votto, Frazier, and Bruce. Gave up walk, single, 2-run double, and that was it. Bruce was the guy who got him for the double.
Now, when he came in the game the other night, you made a couple of references to what Pastimes at Ridgemont High. Is that the movie?
Well, that was mainly Donovan Hand.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes. From the Reds. Spicoli.
I'm a little bit more like the Terminator 3. Talk to the hand.
Oh, I didn't know that one. Didn't know that one.
Actually become quite popular in American slang after Martin Lawrence used it in the movie Martin.
Wow. Showing my age a little bit. You would referring to Spicoli.
Exactly. Although you still probably watch that.
There's no doubt. No doubt. Jim Day knows all about that. He was up here doing his Spicoli imitation the other day. Runner at third, 2 are outs. Grounded foul.
I'll tell you, on a day like this, Jim Day's standing down that camera well, and he's out there in the sun.
Yeah.
No protection. We probably ought to get him a Brock umbrella.
We really should.
That'd be a good look on him.
We really should. And for our cameraman standing right next to him. I mean, just getting baked. Jack down there. Bruce off the end of the bat. All right, Jim Day, your mouth is full of something, but how about a little Spicoli going to break about Mr. Hand?
Aloha, Mr. Hand.
Give me that again. FIFA Women's World Cup continues on Fox. Alex Morgan, Abby Wambach, and Team USA continue their quest for a third title. They take on Colombia, a win or go home matchup. That's around they're in now. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. The whole tournament streams live on Fox Sports Go. I mean, they are down to the big league games now. The United States eyeing a semi-final match, perhaps with the other two favorites, along with themselves being Germany and/or France. J.J. Hoover takes on the mound for the Reds.
JJ's been pretty much automatic for the last 2 months. In fact, it's exactly 2 months you have to go back to find a game in which he gave up a run. April the 21st, covering now 26 games, 24 2/3 innings. Just a couple of runs. I mean, when he's given up an earned run, that is.
And you look at the numbers for Hoover. I mean, this guy has just been incredible.
He's nearing his career scoreless inning streak of 26 1/3, so just an inning or two off of that.
And 2 on Christian Yelich, so JJ will go through with the very teeth of this Marlin batting order. Yelich, Stanton. There's a fly ball to left field. That'll back up Marlin, but he has room out there, 1 away, and here comes Stanton. Lorenzen, 7 innings of 7-hit 2-run baseball. Fan 5 walked 1 batter intentionally. And that matches a season low in a start for Lorenzen. His very first start in the big leagues was the 29th of April. He walked 1 batter in 5 innings in a loss to the Brewers. Every other start. Well, in fact, he only had 1 other start where he walked 2 batters. Every other start, it's been 3 or more. So, significant improvement in that area for Lorenzen, who has been so good. Look at that breaking ball. That's a knee buckler. Stanton 1 of 3, knocked in a run with a ground out in the first inning and a single in the fourth. 3-1 pitch, chasing that high gas at 95 and comes up empty. Now yesterday, when Nate Adcock came into the game, you talked about his nickname being Tater. Well, don't try to sneak that past Jim Day, because here in a minute I'll bring you up to speed on the origin of that nickname for the Kentucky native Nate Adcock.
Now, normally the nickname Tater, not a good nickname for a pitcher.
No.
But maybe this is different.
All right, let's see what Hoover can do here with Stanton. 3-2. Got him swinging. Stanton will leave town unless the Marlins come rolling back here late in the game without a home run. And a total of 2 singles in this series. All right, Jim Day, how about it?
Well, it actually has to do with hitting. When he was young, he was much bigger than other kids. In fact, he wore a size 13 in middle school, a size 13 shoe. And he used to hit a lot of home runs, so his coach called him Tater. Actually, he still wears a size 13 shoe, by the way. He's kept it since middle school. He's also named Scooter because he was not so fast because he was so big. His coach said he could run in a shoebox all day.
Tell you what, you need to know anything about the Reds. The Reds insider is Jim Day. I mean, whether we're talking about a scouting report from Brandon Phillips about his bobblehead, talking about Joey Votto, and wanting to know, where he was physically. Jim on top of all that last year. Whether you're talking about Aroldis Chapman coming back from getting hit in the face with a line drive, or even the nickname Tater for Nate Adcock. One place to find all the info with Fox Sports Ohio's Jim Day. On the ground is short, and that'll end the inning. Hoover a perfect 8th, and hopefully Votto's okay. Ozuna ran into that arm that took him off the bag. That throw by Suarez taking Joey Votto off the bag. Marlins wanting to take a look at that one. And the runner is out at first. Call confirmed.
The umpire crew chief review technically, I guess, is that the manager who wants a review has to ask the crew chief and say, would you take a review of this, because we're in the part of the game now where I'm not allowed to demand one. So Gary Cederstrom is the crew chief. He's the umpire on your right. Been around a long time, Cederstrom has.
And they're not allowed to challenge it because they lost a challenge earlier in the game.
Right.
Had they not used their challenge, of course you can challenge anytime you want, as long as you don't lose it. But from the 7th inning on, you can, as Chris mentioned, run by the umpire. Hey, do you think you guys ought to take a look at that? And they feel like they should. Well, they will. And the umpire who asked about it, the manager who's asked about it, is not challenging the call. I mean, that's impressive, as impressive an inning, considering the batters that came up there, Yelich, Stanton, and Ozuna, as Hoover could ask for. Yeah. And this guy is just picking them up and laying them down. JJ, one of the Reds who makes his home year-round here. He'll always come over and join us on the Reds Hot Stove League program, radio show we do over at the Holy Grail on the Banks. That's in the air to left field off the bat of Pena. And Hand retires Brian to start the Reds 8th. If you're looking ahead to the Marlins 9th, with the Reds leading by 3, they have Bohr, Mathis, Echeverria. And looking a couple of days down the track after a travel day tomorrow for the Reds, short flight over to Pittsburgh. Well, they're getting about the best the Pirates have to offer. If you take a look at the latter two especially, what a year for Garrett Cole against Mike Leake 2 Wednesday night. Tuesday night, Johnny Cueto, Jeff Locke. A.J. Burnett having an excellent year, and he'll go up against Anthony DeSclafani on Thursday night. Marlon Byrd, a 3-hit game. You know, for a while there, the Pirates started to take a level of ownership, if you will, over the Reds. That has not necessarily been the case in the most recent history. You go back to last year, the Reds have won 7 of the last 8 games against the Pirates, including 5 straight wins against them this year. Here's a grounder. Gloved by Dietrich, but no play, and it's a 3-hit game as well for Eugenio Suarez. Well, that's what you like to see. Some guys down at the bottom of the order helping the guys up top.
Finds a good spot for this. Dietrich fields it, but he realizes he's not going to have a chance of throwing the runner out, so wisely holds on to it. Reds have a chance to play a little add-on here in the 8th inning.
Ivan De Jesus Jr. will bat for J.J. Hoover. Of course, the Reds tacked on here on Friday night when they scored the 3 runs. They had a 2-0 lead, scored 3 in the 8th, and it kept Aroldis Chapman from picking up a save. Pedro Villarreal came on to pitch the final inning, scoreless inning. Chapman is ready in the Reds bullpen, and more than likely they'll get him in no matter if it's a save situation or not today. The last time we saw him pitch was for 1 inning in that extra inning marathon against the Tigers here on Wednesday night. Double play ball here. Echeverria on to first, and that's that. All right, here we go. Chapman trying to nail it down. Reds lead 5-2. On Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by your local Toyota dealers, proud sponsor of the Cincinnati Reds. All righty, we've arrived at Aroldis Chapman time here at the ballpark. That's always a good thing for the Redlegs. Chapman 3 outs away from closing out the Reds win and a series victory to boot. This guy, the last time we saw him come on to get a save, that was in the game the night before in Detroit on Tuesday. He struck out the final batter of the game throwing fastballs 103 miles per hour.
Back to back.
Jeff Baker to pinch hit for Bohr. Well, for Jeff Baker, you haven't played the whole series. Son, go out there and get him. That's Aroldis Chapman. Chapman gunning for his 15th save, only one blown all year long. That was on the road in Philadelphia on the 2 trips ago. Chapman has converted 51 consecutive save chances here at Great American Ballpark. If you can believe this, his last blown save in this stadium was on September the 7th, 2012. Chapman watches as Frazier's throw is offline. That was a long way for Frazier to get it behind the bag.
Looked like Frazier just tried to guide that ball over there, didn't it?
He'll be charged with an error. Strike one on Jeff Mathis. 0 for 3 today. Echeverria next, and then a pinch hitting. Leadoff man aboard against Chapman. That fastball at 99. Oh boy. I don't know if anybody can hit that pitch. Just running in on a right-handed batter. Oh. Crowd oohs and ahs every time they put that radar gun number out in left center field. That went at 101 for Chapman. 2-2 to count.
Something magical about that triple digit. When you go from 99, and there are a lot of pitchers that can throw right around that. Not a lot, but I mean, you probably got a handful that throw up in upper 90s regularly. But when you hit over the 100 mark, that's when the oohs and ahs come around.
Soft fly. Well, that one falls in front of Bruce. Jay must not have seen that ball very well. A little soft floater into right field. And by the time he was able to react to it, it was on its way straight down. And all of a sudden now the Marlins bring the tying run to the plate after an error. And a little base hit into short right field. Echeverria has 3 home runs on the year. Donovan Solano stands in the on-deck circle for the Marlins. So this is not going to be a gimme for Chapman. He has work to do. When you sense a crowd, all of a sudden Chapman comes in. They do such an extraordinary job on the video board upon his entrance from the bullpen. But all of a sudden you get an error, you get a hit, you fall behind 2-0. You can start to hear in the crowd some rumbling a little bit. And Chapman comes in, you're figuring this is game over. Marlins saying not so quickly, and now Pena will come to the mound. 3-0. And all of a sudden they are loaded with nobody out.
Well, what starts out as the easiest save opportunity a closer can have, which is a 3-run lead, a clean inning, and really even made easier by figuring that you're at the bottom of the order here that the Marlins have running up there, has now turned into a little bit of drama.
The tying run is on base. The go-ahead run at the plate, and here's Solano. Fastball in there, a strike. Crowd facetiously cheers after a 4-pitch walk. Solano has 53 at bats. He has 8 hits, no home runs, but is a pinch hitter, 1 RBI, 2 out of 19 off the bench. 0-2. You've got D. Gordon next. Dietrich after him. Both of them left-handed batters.
Same for Yelich after him.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. That one at 102 miles per hour. It's been a very good day for D. Gordon. 3 hits and 4 at bats, a stolen base, a run scored. And it's ball 1. It is rare you will see 3 players play in one game that have 3 hit games. That's the story today. Gordon 3 for the Marlins, 3 for both Marlon Byrd and Eugenio Suarez of the Reds. Gordon has had more of those than any player in the league. 4 more than Arizona's outstanding first baseman Goldschmidt. One ball and 2 strikes on D. Gordon. Struck him out swinging. Two outs. So now the crowd of almost 37,000 on their feet on this Father's Day, bright sunny Sunday. Reds an out away from a series win over the Marlins, but the very tough Derek Dietrich stands in the way. .102 up over your eyes. Pretty tough to hit.
Well, when you're facing Chapman, I don't really think you're swinging at the ball. You're swinging at his arm action. Because if you wait to see the ball, it's too late. Game over. 103 miles per hour again. Marlins loaded the bases, and Chapman strikes out 3 in a row. So the Reds win the series. 2-1. And we'll be back with more in a moment.